Hi, welcome to my video. So this video I'm going to be talking about Fedora 40 KDE 6 with 6.0 RC2 as it says right here. So this is on actual hardware. I'm actually using the system. I'm actually doing the screencast from OBS. However, there was some problems with some programs that uses the Qt toolkit. So first of all, I'm going to introduce VLC. Now that works, okay? But, so this is definitely, yeah, so this is VLC working. VLC does work. But if I were to, like, let's say, open up a file here, like, see how that is closed like that? It'll crash. I cannot watch any files. I can open up the program, but I can't watch any like videos. Okay, now watch this. If I type Shotcut, this is the one from RPM Fusion. Gives me the 0 here. Same as OBS. Okay, OBS. It gives me that same error as well. Say symbol lookup error. Exact same problem with debug RK11 QDoc widget, and that's basically it's some kind of code that's being unidentified. Part of the toolkit. I don't know, something's just not working properly. However, if I use the Flatpak version, that works, and same as OBS from Flatpak. That's how I got it to work. But there is a problem with the OBS on here. There's no global menus. If I take it off, probably they will be there. I don't know. But there's just no global menus at all. So that, oh, yeah. No one exit. I'm using it right now at the moment. Anyways, so that's the problem with the system that I have with it so far. But other than that, everything else works pretty good. So it's not really big deals. It's just I can use the Flatpak version, but I'd rather use the RPM version of Shotcut OBS. And I don't know, VLC seems to not always working. It's probably due to Wayland, most likely. Also, there's no Wayland. There's no X11 session. X11 display server session, I should say. And it's only Wayland. So like when you go to the, like SDDM, there's no like you can't switch to other like sessions. There's only one session, which is Wayland by default. And that's it. I'm sure probably you could fix that by adding using the X11 display server session. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they took it out completely. I have no idea. I hadn't figured out how to put that back, but I'm sure I can figure it out. I just didn't really search up or troubleshoot this issue, as I'd rather just stay in Wayland anyways, because I'd rather fix things within Wayland instead of like just going to X11 display server and be like, okay, it works better here. And most of the problem is to do with probably the NVIDIA drivers, which is nice because I installed the NVIDIA drivers from RPM Fusion, and it gives me the latest beta drivers, 550.40.07, because the stable I believe is 545 something. So this is the one that I'm using right now on one of my systems, and Arch Linux calls it beta. So this whole system is beta, but it is using the latest NVIDIA drivers. It's using the latest Linux kernel. It's yeah, but the system's working good. Like with Wayland and the NVIDIA non-free drivers, it's working fairly okay. Steam still kind of glitches out a little bit, and Discord client does not work because it doesn't have the latest one. If I install Discord again, reinstall it, it's going to show you the so I need to put reinstall. So the version here that it has is 42-2, and the version that's out right now is 43. So I can't use Discord. Even if I type it, it doesn't even know where it is. It's there. Or do I have it? Yeah, I do have it installed. Maybe I could type Discord like this, like a capital D. Yeah, that actually worked. But you see right here? Update manually to 0.43. Oh, so that's where they are. Huh. Not working. Anyways, you just go, I'll figure it out later. I could fix this, but I use it right now in the web browser, so it's basically the same thing. But anyways, that it's not updated yet, so it will eventually, because that's what most distributions with Discord eventually gets updated properly. Even Gentoo does this. The only distribution I know that actually updates Discord always right on time is Arch Linux, so that's good on them. Yeah, I actually do like Fedora though. Like, despite all the problems that it had, KDE 6 works really well in Wayland, and it works quite well with NVIDIA and proprietary drivers. And yes, like I said, they glitch a little bit with Steam. I'm sure Discord does that little glitching as well. But other than that, like, it's stable. Like, it's really it's working a lot better than it does with KDE 5.27.10, and also works a lot better with Wayland with the NVIDIA proprietary NVIDIA drivers. With Wayland, it works really well, and I gotta say that Fedora works really good, and I think by the time it gets released, it'll probably be a lot more work put into it, and they're doing a good job. And I think them defaulting just Wayland session is a good idea, because it will get more developers, everybody using Wayland, so that way we get used to it, and then if there's problems, we see the problem and people will fix it. Either people like me that tested it out, report bugs, or developers actually working on it and actually resolving the problems that we have and getting the fix. I know we have this non-free blob of NVIDIA drivers, and they can't really do much about it, but we do all, however, have open source drivers, and if we can actually make them better and just as good as the proprietary blob for Linux, if the open source can get real much more improved and work great with, Wayland, like what we have with AMD and Intel, then it'd be really good for the Linux people, as we have a good open source drivers of NVIDIA to work with Wayland. and it will eventually all get better. You know what I mean? Like just like with the init system, we all switched over to system D from system V init, and we just changed things over time. Linux went through a lot of like when Linux went through a lot of like different changes over the years. Like the last 2 decades I've been using Linux, I noticed there's a lot of changes have like a lot of phases that Linux went through, and it's always rocky at the point where technology is getting different and change, and Linux has to adapt to with those newer changes with technology. And right now Linux is in that kind of phase, but this is an issue that should have been worked on years ago, with the display server. X11 display servers serve Linux and pretty much Unix-like systems for many years. Many years, but it is indeed needs to be replaced. It's not being maintained. The code is designed for older hardware. X11 just needs to be replaced. I think Linux needs a better stack for their display server, and basically the whole GUI system stack needs to be replaced. And I think Wayland is good. It's improved a lot. It used to be a lot worse. I think Wayland's working a lot better than. It's actually pretty good. Wayland is good nowadays. I think it still needs work, but it's working pretty good. And I think Fedora 40 with KDE works great. I think KDE should be the default desktop environment for Fedora. If I remember, the old school Fedora used to use KDE before. I think that they should always stick with KDE. I don't find GNOME really fits KDE or even Red Hat in general. I think I think KDE works a lot better. I don't know what I'm saying. I messed all that up. I think KDE makes more sense for Fedora desktop, if that makes sense. I'm a little tired. I don't know. I need some more coffee. But anyways, despite these problems, is the system working good? Does it function properly? Does KDE 6 work pretty good? It does. It works really good. There's not really much problems with it, other than some applications not loading up. But some of them work. They work fine with Flatpaks, but I don't want to depend on Flatpak. This music player works great now. Before, like when you show like the album artwork, I don't want to play any music here, but it used to show like a weird colors inside of Wayland, but now it displays the album artwork a lot better. This one here is not showing any artwork, but when it does show artwork, it looks nice and good. And that's one program that I need to get from Flatpak. So there's no RPM package for it. So anyways, Steam works good. It's just OBS is a little problem, and same as Shotcut, but they do work inside Flatpak. Of course, because they're sandbox software, right? But anyways, I wish that I can get the Shotcut and OBS to work. I call them more native programs instead of not being in Flatpak version. Also, VLC is acting up weird, but I do use SM Player as well, so I think SM Player it actually works pretty good as well. So I use that. What else? Other than that, all the other software that I throw at it works pretty good. Even DJ DUP backup software works pretty good. GIMP works good. OpenRGB works good. Genie works good. Steam works pretty good. I hadn't tested any games out yet on this computer, but it works. It logs in. Steam is loaded up. It works perfectly fine. It's in my other workspaces because I switch over to a different workspace. I took the pagers out. I just used super key, window key. Super key and control key, and you use the left right arrow keys to switch back to different workspace, and you can add more workspace, like different areas. You notice how that shows it transparent inside this box? It's not supposed to be transparent. Some people probably would like that as well. Like if you go to edit and you just take blur off, apply. Some people, they like it transparency like that. I like the blur better, but that's one way you can get the, like, if you want it transparent, that's the way you can do it. I just think blur looks a lot better. So yeah, it's working good with all the stuff that it's working good with the GPU. Wayland's working pretty good. It's actually a lot better than on KDE 5.27. And also Wayland works a lot better on Fedora than it does, well, Fedora 40 than it does on Arch Linux. Because I have a lot of bugs with Wayland, with NVIDIA drivers on Arch Linux. But with Fedora, I find it works really well, like really well. A lot better than Arch Linux for sure. Maybe that's a lot to do with KDE 6 as well. Maybe KDE 5.27.10 is more buggier with Wayland. I don't know, but it's working good. I mean, for the most part, it's working pretty good. I will still be testing around. I still have Arch Linux on this computer. Anyways, I just have a spare disk that I had Gentoo on it. I took Gentoo off from my ASUS computers. And I just put Fedora here because I want to test it out on actual hardware, and that's what I'm doing right now. And yeah, it works pretty good for the most part. But I'll be testing around because I like to test out Fedora. I do it all the time. I do this every year. I always test out Fedora. I've been doing it since the first release until now. I always test out Fedora. It's just something I do. I like Fedora. I get mad with it sometimes, but this time around, like, the NVIDIA drivers are working really good on Fedora. So on 39 during the beta testing, NVIDIA was giving me a lot of problems, but it's working really good now in version 40. I gotta say, this whole entire system works really good for a beta system or pre-release Fedora. It's actually pretty stable. Despite some of the application, like I said, it's not working under Wayland. So yeah, OBS and Shotcut. Basically, that's the problem. It's the QDoc widget. It's just giving me this problem. I don't know what's causing it, but definitely I know it's Qt6 with some bug with that, and VLC is acting up pretty weird too as well. It loads up, but when it comes to loading up video, I think it could do with something with FFmpeg maybe, or some kind of something. Anyways, it's just not working properly. It could also just be something to do with some kind of plugin that VLC works with. I don't know, but there's something definitely wrong with these programs, and I think it's all related because, you know, Shotcut is basically you know, it's a video editing program, and OBS is it's a tool that you can record streaming games that are streamed. You can stream games on it with it as well, because it stands for open source broadcast, right? OBS. So you can broadcast your own. Like if you want to stream your games, it can record desktop. It can do. It's a good little tool. It actually works okay. Like these programs work. I can use Shotcut with Flatpak. I can use OBS with Flatpak version. But it's when it comes to using the actual software from the RPM packages, it's where it's broken. But probably that can all be updated eventually. I don't know. But I'm just throwing it out there, like if anybody's seen this video that actually work on these software, yeah, there's a problem. Also, it could also just be on my end. Who knows? What else? Yeah. Other than that, in Discord is just not updated because they're slow at updating Discord on Fedora. It's always been like this for many years. This ain't something new. I use Discord inside my Firefox browser, so I mean, whatever. It's good for now until they update it. But other than that, the system's working really good, and I'm gonna still play around with it. I've been saying that. I've been repeating myself. So I'm gonna just stop the video because it'll just be me ranting about the same stuff over and over and over again. But yeah, the reason why I'm repeating this a lot is because it's bothering me. Like I don't like to see things not working on my system. Even though I find other ways to get the software to work, I'd rather just them working more natively. And I want to figure out the problem, like why it's doing that, and yeah. But for the most part, I mean, like I could go back and see how things work with X11 display server session. Is like I just want to log in and see if these applications work within the X11 server session, and I want to know if it's a Wayland issue, or if it's a KDE 6 issue, or it's probably a combination. I don't know, but I guess I'll just try to fix it within the Wayland session, and stick with Wayland because it's actually working pretty good. Anyways, that's my review on using Fedora 40 with KDE 6 RC2, and this is the native review, the native installation of Fedora. It's not in a virtual machine. This is actually on actual hardware, and I gotta say it works pretty good for a pre-release distribution system. Works really good. And I think the Fedora team are doing an excellent job. And I wish that they would just stick with KDE and go away from GNOME. Maybe that might change in the future when KDE gets officially out, KDE 6. It might change that they might just use KDE. Because I think KDE is actually fits Fedora, because Fedora that I remember back in the day, because I've been testing on Fedora for a long time, I remember using it with KDE and always have a KDE desktop. Fedora was always my KDE system, and I think it goes well with Fedora, and I think it should be with Fedora. Other than that, it works great. I'm just not a GNOME fan anymore. I never was for a longest time. I just don't like GNOME too much. I try to cope with it and deal with it, but there's a lot of things about GNOME that I don't like, and there's a lot of things in KDE. Everything about KDE I like a lot, so I just use KDE because KDE is awesome. KDE 6 is pretty cool. I think it's KDE 5.27 is really good desktop environment, but KDE 6 improved that a lot upon it. Like it just works really good. Anyways, that is my video. That is my review. That is my thoughts. That is my honest opinion about things. Personal opinions. So not everybody's got to agree with me, and I don't expect that either. Anyways, have a good one, guys. Cheers.